Today, I'm here with Sherin from Beyond to talk a bit about developers, because with all the new projects coming out, we often end up feeling a little lost. So the goal of this video series is really to get to know each other and to talk a bit more in depth about each developer. For those who don't know me, my name is Agathe. I've been living in Dubai since 2013, and I've been investing for over 10 years. I founded the Dubai agency to support European investors in their investment journey in Dubai. And today I'm here with Sherin. Hello. Could you quickly introduce yourself and explain to us what you do at Beyond?
My name is Sherin. I work for Beyond as a sales manager. I've been in Dubai for 6 years, and I've been with Beyond for a little less than a year.
So what exactly do you do at Beyond?
I am in sales. I support agents like you, for example, who come to me with their clients. I present the project to them, I help them, I guide them to find exactly the apartment they need in our projects, whether for investment purposes or even for personal use.
Okay, so could you tell us a bit about Beyond, and especially what makes this developer different from the others?
With great pleasure. So Beyond is part of the Omniat group. Omniat is a developer that started 20 years ago in Dubai, so we have a very, very rich heritage with the Omniat group. It was in 2005 that Mahdi Amjad, the founder of Omniat, came to Dubai and decided that he really wanted to establish himself in Dubai's ultra-luxury market with Omniat. Today, he has truly succeeded in becoming the best in ultra-luxury, mission accomplished, basically. In 2023, he thought, why not do exactly the same thing in the luxury segment to reach a larger community and establish himself in Dubai in a larger segment?
So, since you previously used to work at an agency and are currently at Beyond, what do you think truly sets you apart from other developers?
So for me, honestly, that's actually one of the reasons why I decided to switch and work for this developer, because I realized that their vision was completely different from the visions of other developers here in Dubai. They really positioned themselves in the market and said, okay, when we look at all the developers that are out there right now, we're going to take all the best ideas from all the other developers, everything that has worked well for them, and really bring it all together under one roof, Beyond's roof, in fact. So, for example, we looked at developers like MR. We realized that they are very well known for their master communities, really skilled in everything related to master communities. So we thought, why not do exactly the same thing, but even better? So really bringing together all the master communities they've created into one. And on top of that, we looked at developers like Ellington, for example, who have an excellent track record for appreciation and added value. When you look at an Ellington building in a community, generally those are the ones with the highest appreciation. That's
the most expensive sell
for the highest prices. Exactly, that have the fewest options available for resale and for rent. So we wondered how they managed to establish themselves in such a way. And we realized that it's this concept of establishing themselves as a very boutique brand. So we took that concept and thought, why not do exactly the same thing, except we add the idea of a master community to really bring together the best of both worlds. Exactly, the best of both worlds. So that's more or less how we established ourselves in the market. We said to ourselves, first, we're going to make apartments that are really larger in terms of space, with beautiful finishes, fully equipped kitchens and so on, to really make sure that when you want to resell the apartment, so ideally today you're an investor, but tomorrow you might not necessarily want to sell to another investor. We'd rather sell to someone who's looking for an apartment for themselves, because it's those people who will really fall in love with the place, who will say, I love the view, I love the layout, I love the building, etc. And they'll pay more than an investor who walks into a building and says, give me the best deal in the building, in the tower. That's why we get better value appreciation. And we said to ourselves, we're going to focus exactly in that direction.
So would you say that it's which type of property that sells the easiest? 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 bed, or rather the larger units or the smaller ones?
So smaller units generally sell very quickly. For example, a 1-bedroom moves really fast when flipping. However, the added value is higher with 2 bedrooms. When you look at it in terms of percentage, because 1-bedrooms are mostly for investors or for people who are a bit more budget conscious, let's say, whereas with 2 bedrooms, you attract families with a child, for example, or families who would have liked a 3-bedroom but can't really afford one, so they settle for a 2-bedroom instead. We also see people who say, well, okay, I'm single, a 1-bedroom would be enough for me, but who think, I'll increase my budget a bit to have a little more space. So in fact, we attract both categories. Yes.
People who host guests and entertain often may need an extra room.
Exactly.
And there are fewer of them too.
Yes.
There are fewer 2 bedrooms than 1 bedrooms in general.
Exactly. So that means there's also the rarity factor. Yes, so they sell extremely, extremely well. They also resell quickly, and they have better added value. So for me, 2 bedrooms are definitely a great investment, especially for resale. They're top notch. And
You've been in the market for quite a few years. The last 6 years have been truly exceptional for real estate in Dubai.
incredible.
How have you seen real estate prices increase between 2020 and 2025, for example?
It was different phases. It was incredible. Everyone expected it to drop again at any moment, but in reality, it just kept going up. That's
Still the case.
people are still always saying,
That everything is going to collapse in Dubai.
yes, there will be too much supply on the market, etc. And I agree. In some respects, I really do agree that there will be a market correction at some point. But I think the market correction will happen in other areas. I don't think it will happen on the waterfront, for example. For example, with Beyond, one of the reasons we focused on the waterfront is because we truly realized that it's the most limited market you can find in Dubai. It only represents 8% of the market. And knowing that most people who come to live in Dubai generally look to be by the sea or at least have a sea view, etc. So those 8% actually become even smaller when you look at the demand for waterfront properties. So for me, that's something that won't see a correction. I think that when you look at the market, even considering what has happened in the past and how it has always increased in value, in my opinion, the waterfront won't experience a correction. So it's almost bulletproof, as we say in English, against crises, for example, during times of crisis.
Anyway, even if there is a correction at some point, it's inevitable, but in my opinion, it won't happen uniformly across all of Dubai. You have different audiences, you have different budgets in each neighborhood, so of course it's not going to behave the same way everywhere.
Exactly, and I think that the way we're positioning ourselves in the luxury segment instead of the mass market, because we're really focused on having apartments that are a bit more beautiful, etc., and a community that's a bit more focused on lifestyle and so on. I think the clientele we're attracting is mainly this type of clientele, which is very, very stable. For example, people from DIFC are investing heavily in our projects in Maritime City, for instance, because that's exactly what they were looking for. A mix of luxury and community, but without having to pay a price that has become, in our world, for example, Bulgari Island. When you look at the prices today, if you want something a bit luxurious on the waterfront, Bulgari Island is no longer within reach.
Yes, absolutely, it's unaffordable.
No, it's unaffordable. That's exactly why we really focused on this segment, because we realized that, yes, there are 10 AFCs, but when you want to be on the waterfront, there's absolutely nothing.
So in your opinion, Shireen, could you please tell us which neighborhoods or areas you believe are the most promising and have the greatest potential for growth in the coming years?
Waterfront. It's very simple. For the reasons I just explained, for me, it's the waterfront.
So among the clients you've had for a little over a year at Beyond, when you compare them to your previous clients over the past 5 years, what changes have you noticed? I don't know, things like age, nationality, occupations.
So honestly, it was very interesting for me as well to see this when I started focusing on Beyond. What I realize is that the clientele we attract with Beyond is often the same clientele that more and more is coming to Dubai, moving to Dubai. These are really the borderline millionaires from Europe who want to come settle here because of the situation in Europe, whether it's Germany, France, Luxembourg, even Switzerland.
Yes, it's true, there are a lot of Swiss among our
Clients. Yes, because for me, generally the Swiss 50 years ago, they wouldn't have touched Dubai. And what I feel is that right now, really, the trend is that people want to settle here. They're looking to leave Europe. They're looking to come here for their retirement.
So it's more people who are a bit older and who come to settle down.
Yes, who come to settle down, but not necessarily older. So really, even people as young as 30, for example, but who have been very successful in their careers and who say to themselves, okay, fine, I'm looking for a better standard of living, etc. They're looking to invest in Dubai to settle there long term.
Okay, and
That's really become the biggest change I've seen, because before it was always just pure and simple investment.
so for these people, these new clients, what is their priority when they buy? It's the quality, the payment plan, the delivery.
I think community, so first of all, the location.
Yes, location.
Yes, location. They're looking for a good developer because they've realized that a lot of the negative feedback about Dubai in the past was generally due to the fact that people were working with, or rather investing with, a bad developer, one who didn't have the best reputation and so on. So that's something I'm seeing more and more. People are really like, wow, they really pay attention to investing with a good developer. And third, generally a master community. They really like the lifestyle aspect, the fact that being in a master community is a bit like choosing a nice district in Paris. Let me give you a very simple example where you say to yourself, okay, I'm more the type who wants to live in the 16th arrondissement or maybe in Saint-Germain or in the Marais. It all depends on the lifestyle you're looking for. It's the same here with master communities. They're really looking for a certain lifestyle, a certain clientele who settle in that community and so on. So that's what I've seen personally. That's kind of what they're looking for. And then, of course, the payment plan and so on, that's a bonus. Let's say it's not necessarily the deciding factor. It can support the decision, yes, but it's mainly an extra.
We talked about this briefly earlier, but do you think prices will keep going up?
Yes, I see that. Well, we see it. Based on the market studies we've done, there are a huge number of people, more and more people moving to Dubai. So just in terms of demand, prices are bound to keep rising. And you have to keep in mind that Dubai's real estate market is only 23 years old. Yes, about that. So it's very new, let's say. So when you look at other cities, how they developed over time, it's clear that prices in Dubai will continue to grow in that same direction. We forget that Dubai is still such a new city.
You have a lot of international buyers at Beyond. How do you set yourselves apart? Because these are people who could potentially buy anywhere in the world. How do you attract them to Dubai with your project?
So here I really want to come back to the community aspect. One of the things we've done with our Beyond community, for example, in Maritime City, is that first we have quality, we have the luxury aspect, and second, we really focus on the community side. So for example, people who want to settle here and are looking for something that reminds them a bit of the European lifestyle, where you can walk around, stroll, there's a lot of greenery, there's the beach, the coast, restaurants, and so on. Promenade. So actually, we've brought all of that together into a community, which means that when we look at our clientele, we attract them precisely with this aspect. For example, we have a lot of clients from Monaco and also from Paris, but especially the Monegasques. In fact, with you, what I realize is that Monegasques are really looking for that natural side with a beautiful lifestyle, an exclusive community, a lovely promenade. So really having everything within easy reach.
So since we're talking a lot about ecology, nature, and so on these past years, how do you at Beyond incorporate these aspects into your projects?
Well, in this regard, we're really truly focused on staying aligned with all the visions that the Sheikh has. So for example, the Sheikh for 2040 is aiming for the greenest city in Dubai. So for us, one of our goals with the island is really to make it as green as possible, precisely to align with his vision. So first of all, we've brought a huge amount of nature onto the island. The entire landscape is going to be developed. We actually have an entire forest that we're preserving as a central park in the middle of the community to really create that atmosphere. In fact, the temperature actually drops by a few degrees because there are so many trees that have been or will be planted. And we also have this aspect where the air will be more filtered thanks to the trees, so we can benefit from better air quality.
Yes, and that's definitely something that's valued in Dubai as well, extremely.
Yes, these are really the two things we've seen most in demand, greenery and beachfront. So the beach, the sea, and the greenery, and we're working to bring all of that together in one community, precisely to ensure that in the future it will really be ecological on one hand, but also that, for example, we have cycling tracks and things like that to really make it so
that, yes, focused on well-being, sports, and health. We've seen that for you, the neighborhoods with the most potential are those by the sea and really those oriented towards nature. On the other hand, do you see any opportunities for the future that are still unknown or overlooked today?
Opportunities for the future? Personally, I think that the north of Dubai is the area that will be developed the most in the future. Right now, we're focusing on the south of Dubai because of everything related to the airport. But I think the north is really... People don't realize just how many more projects are going to be developed there in the future, which will actually be even newer down the line.
In Meydan, for example? Yes, in
Meydan. So for me, that's really the area where you can see that a huge amount of things are developing, even here in Jumeirah, the restaurants, the big restaurants, etc., on J1 Beach and so on. Everything is really starting to concentrate in the north of Dubai. So for me, there are a lot of things happening there, even in DIFC, honestly. So for me, the north of Dubai is
not to be overlooked.
No, not at all. Definitely not to be overlooked. Whereas right now, people might still be all about Asia. Isn't it too far away? Isn't it too... But anyway, we were talking about it earlier. Back in the day, Mall of the Emirates, for example, which is now in the center of Dubai, used to be considered really far away. So for me, I think the north of Dubai is really the area that's going to become more and more developed.
Developed moving forward?
Yeah, developed.
Now, Shireen, we're going to talk about the tricky subject. Let's talk a bit about money. You're in the luxury segment, the high-end market, so I imagine it's quite expensive compared to the rest of the market. What's the price, the minimum ticket to get into a Beyond property?
So right now, the minimum ticket, because we're really on the bay side, which has already increased in value, etc. So right now, we're talking about a minimum of 3 million for a bay view unit. That's right, exactly 3 million AED. And keep in mind that prices are going to keep rising. So the more buildings we launch on the bay, the more we'll raise the prices precisely to also secure the investment for all our investors. The person who gets in the earliest has the most advantages, but on the other hand, the downside is that they're the first to receive the keys.
There will be construction
afterwards. So actually, there are different ways to look at the timing advantage. Here, we're really talking about the building that's right in the middle of the bay. So this is the fourth launch we've had in the bay. That means in terms of price, we're really right in the middle. In terms of the project's completion as well, we're exactly in the middle. So that means there's an advantage to investing now, and the current starting price is 3 million. But then when you look at the forest side, for example, where we've only launched one building so far, it means that the next building will still be at a launch price of maybe 2.6 million. Yes.
So it's still reasonable. Yes, it remains
reasonable, and we're really at the level of a super exclusive park. We really have something.
Where there are 360, at least the forest, I
am a fan. Same, there are only 4 buildings, and each building will be more expensive than the previous one. So even if we go for the next building, for example, 2.6, I'm just giving an example because we really do not have the prices yet at this point. It could be 2.5. We have no idea about the prices for now. But the upcoming buildings, the prices will actually go up to 3 or even 3.3 million dirhams for a 1-bedroom. So 2.6 today is an advantage.
Yes, but we saw it because at Rise, the first round you launched, the 1-beds were at 1.8.
Exactly.
So if today we're already at 3 million and it's been less than a year, that's pretty good.
Exactly, it's great. And what we should also mention with our projects is that we always make up for it. So the 1-bedrooms that were at 1.8 million at Rise, for example, were maybe 670 square feet. Now today, when we launch a 1-bedroom at 3 million dirhams, you get a partial view of the bay, and the apartment will be at least 850 square feet. So we're really increasing the size, we're raising the standard of the building and so on to really make up for it on that level as well.
Do you offer any discounts or incentives?
No, unfortunately not. At Beyond, absolutely no discounts. We're part of the Omniat group. I always give this example. It's a bit like walking into Hermes and asking for a discount, really. So there won't be any discounts. And especially because our projects sell out really quickly, we have a huge amount of demand. So in the end, we don't need to offer discounts.
So in the case of a late payment from one of your buyers, what are the conditions? Do you terminate the contract? Do you charge late payment penalty?
We do have late payment penalties, yes, like all developers in Dubai generally. So they amount to about 2% of what is owed of the monthly payment. That's exactly right. 2% for each month of delay. Exactly. It's tough, so you really shouldn't mess around. No, you really shouldn't mess around. That's why even in conversations with clients, I really try to be super transparent about everything related to payments, etc. We're still very strict when it comes to payments. We always have the option to talk with the developer. So for example, if the client has any kind of issue, or even, for instance, one of the clients we had together told us they'd like a bit more flexibility with the payment, asking if they could pay a little later, etc. There's absolutely no problem. We ask, we make the request and so on. You always have to
communicate, actually.
You have to communicate it. And at that point, generally, there isn't
any problem. Regarding delivery, you haven't delivered yet, but how do you handle delivery delays from a company policy perspective? Do you offer any compensation? How does that work? So for now, we haven't delivered any projects yet with Beyond, but we've delivered a lot of projects with Omniat, actually. So in terms of expertise, we know how it works. There won't be any compensation as such. The only thing is that since Beyond is still quite new on the market, let's say as a developer, we really, really, really want to make sure that everything we deliver will be on time, etc., to really maintain an excellent reputation. We're in the process of building our brand.
Exactly, we're building our brand, and on top of that, we have a brand like Omniat, which has been established for 20 years and has a spotless reputation. So we really have to make sure that we don't damage Omniat's reputation for B&D. It's the same management, etc. Now, it's true that for all our projects, we've already started construction. Except for the last one we launched 2 or 3 weeks ago, we've already started construction on all the other projects to really make sure that everything is delivered on time, because this won't be the last community we build. So if our reputation is spotless now, we know that for everything we do next, not only will we be able to raise prices for the premium product we're offering our clients, but we'll also have an excellent reputation overall. That's really the way we want to establish ourselves in the Dubai market as well, to make sure that people want to invest with Beyond.
Does the buyer have the opportunity to customize the interior or make any specific changes to it?
Unfortunately, no. Since we provide very high quality finishes as standard, always in very neutral colors, we really make sure that there isn't necessarily much to change in the apartment, and especially because we really don't want to have delays afterwards. So if every buyer told us, I'd like to customize here, customize there, there would be delays. But there are some exceptions as well. For example, we've had requests related to disabilities, etc. So in those cases, yes, we will try to make certain changes in the apartment.
And so if after the handover I want to knock down a partition wall, for example, is that possible? No problem at all. You can do whatever you want. Okay. And when buying or even at the time of handover, do you offer any packages for fixtures, furnishings, etc.?
So we've had a lot of questions about that, because it's true that Ominiat is known for always working with the best interior designers, etc. And offering packages, having apartments that are fully furnished. So we've had a lot of requests for that. So maybe in the future, we'll really have the option to add a furnishing package, etc. But for now, we don't have anything.
Okay, it's too soon. Yes, because when you look at the brochures, they're so beautiful. Honestly, you want to recreate that at home.
Exactly. That's not really something you need to worry about in Dubai. In general, it's the easiest thing to do. You show a picture. And with the interior designers you find here, people are able to reproduce exactly the same thing.
Yes, that's true. Once we have clients who are often international in Europe. Once the client has bought and wants to follow the construction progress, how does it work with you? Who is the point of contact? Is it you? Do you send emails?
We send emails. And of course, at the end of the day, I'm always there.
To send construction site photos, things like that?
The construction site photos, we actually get them because unfortunately I'm not allowed to access the site, but we do have some from the development side, etc. They provide us with photos from time to time to really show the progress, etc.
Okay. We're not just left out in the wild, are we?
No, not at all. On the contrary, we even have a customer service team that gets in touch with clients to make sure that if they have any questions, they can ask. For any reason, if I'm no longer here, for example, for Beyond. So in that case, we always have direct contact with the developer. So we really always have to make sure that there is a point of contact
that is established. Yes, that's reassuring. It's reassuring for international buyers. It's extremely important. Yes.
Yes, yes. But well, at the end of the day, I hope I stay here. So I have no plans to leave. So of course, I'm also here as a point of contact.
Now, Sherin, which project are you most proud of so far that you have marketed?
That's a really tough question, because it's true that I'm really, personally, from the start, I fell in love with the Maritime City project as a whole. So it's true that Maritime City as such is my favorite.
By the way, does this project have a name?
For now, we wanted to name it Jumeirah Peninsula Bay and Jumeirah Peninsula Garden. But Peninsula has been used so much in Dubai. In the meantime, we're really considering using another term.
There's the Select Group project, and then there's the Peninsula Hotel.
Exactly. There's a whole peninsula island that's right next to the Four Seasons. So it's true that we'd really like to find another term then.
Because often when I talk to my clients about it, I call it the Beyond Enclave, the Beyond District of Maritime City, but there's no real name behind it. No, Beyond.
The Beyond community in Maritime City.
But you see, it's...
Yeah, no, it's long.
It's long, and then it...
Maritime City, Babyland, so we'll have a name. We're going to change the name. It's not clarified yet. Well, we haven't yet.
So then this is a project you really like, but it's not the one you said...
It's this one. Yeah, I'm in love with this project. So for me, this is my favorite. It brings everything together. I can't name a specific tower in the project.
It's this concept.
It's the concept. It's the concept of all of Maritime City that I love.
If you had to give just one piece of advice to our investors, what would it be?
So just one piece of advice that I can really stand by, because generally the advice I always give is to really check 3 boxes when it comes to investing, is to have a good developer, a good reputation, and a good location. So when we talk about location, it's really on an international level. We always talk about location, location, location when it comes to real estate. And the third point is master community. For me, master community, when you invest in a master community, you're safe, you're really safe, because it's the developer who controls the prices. It's the developer who ensures that prices only go up, which means that all investors who invest will get a return on their investment. And above all, the capital gain happens much more quickly because there's no market adjustment to be made, no internal correction. And in the end, it's very limited. For me, master community is honestly the only advice I would give.
Invest in a master community.
Master community, 100%.
Thank you very much, Shireen, for all the information you shared with us. It was super interesting, and it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
With you, likewise.
So I hope you also learned some interesting things during this interview. For those who are interested and want to go further, please don't hesitate to contact us. Whether it's me or a member of my team, we'll be happy to support you with your real estate project in Dubai. And in the meantime, I'll see you soon in the next video.